I'll never forget when I was playing with Lizzo. I did a radio tour with her, and she's just so cool. But I'm so prepared. I got the songs. I'm on the airplane and I get a text, and they're like, she don't want to do any of those songs. She want to do these songs. So I'm like, community is really important.
Mm.
With my, lessons, I do group lessons, I do one-on-one lessons, I do video lessons, I do all these different lessons, but we're not just playing guitar, we're building character. Like, wow, this is bigger than just the guitar. This is an opportunity to pass on something that can literally shift the entire room, the entire situation for someone. And it was such an honor to play for my grandfather. That was the best gig I've ever had. Strum, here we go. Hey.
Welcome right now, JUNO The Artist. Hi, JUNO.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Amazing. It's a wonderful day.
Good. Now, I think it's fair to say that you are responsible for inspiring and teaching and helping so many aspiring guitarists, myself included, with your simple and accessible and super slow, because that's important, R&B guitar tutorials. And if we're going to put this into numbers, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, 170,000 Instagram followers. So I just want to, I know that you've had this incredible career and you give so much, and that has taken you on this huge journey touring with Fifth Harmony, Camila Cabello, Bruno Mars, India, Irie. But first, I just want to get into JUNO the guitarist first, because what I love about you is you seem to have purpose and a gift for helping people, which is really the start of how you discovered guitar, isn't it? So you were helping somebody who really then ended up saving your life and taking it on a new journey.
Absolutely. So first of all, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and I grew up with a single mom. So we were always a part of community, whether it was church or the after school program. And so I went to school for social work because I wanted to give back and I wanted to help people. And my first job was working at a rehab facility for teenagers, a drug rehab facility. And, there was just so many different things that came with that. People with mental health issues, people with behavioral, issues and things of just a wide range of people that just needed help. And so my first client was a 15-year-old heroin addict, and his name was Jake. And I've been looking for him all this time because he completely changed my life. I wasn't expecting it. But he was obsessed with the guitar. So, the first thing he asked me is, can you print me off guitar tabs? So I never heard of guitar tabs. I didn't know what guitar tabs were. But boy, did I find out, because he wanted all these different guitar tabs. And so I was kind of watching him and I'm like, man, he really, really lights up. Like when he plays the guitar, there's something that happens in him that I never see happen outside of that. And so I just had this idea of like, man, if I can connect with him through something that lights him up, then maybe that can give me an opportunity to build a rapport with him. And boy, when I tell you, something happened. I didn't even expect it, but it's like something transferred from him to me, his passion. And I just became obsessed with this concept of tangible growth. Yesterday, I could not play this. Today, I can. What will I be able to do tomorrow? So it was just so exciting. It made me feel like I was, building this connection with him, but also that I was growing as a person. I was growing in a way that I didn't even understand fully, but every day I felt like I was moving forward. And I had never felt like that before. So that was so exciting for me.
Do you think it was the connection with him that drew you to the guitar, or do you think it was something about the guitar and its sound and its, and what you could do with it that was the hook? What was it for
I think
you?
it was the connection with him
Yeah.
initially. And then as I dove into this world, because I just, I was going to get tabs for him and going to get stuff for him. And I discovered, the YouTube community and the jazz blogs. And that's when I started to say like, oh man, Jimi Hendrix, he sounds a little bit different than BB King. And he sounds a little bit different, all these different Wes Montgomery and all these different players that I started to discover. And then I started to wonder, well, how do I sound when I play and what's my tone and what's my, so initially, I think it was the connection. And, I just believe that to me, that's the most exciting parts about life, about being alive, is when you have a genuine connection with someone else. And it's not about you or it's not about them. It's a reciprocated experience that both people are getting something from it. And I think I was just really excited to be able to help him, but he was helping me too.
So Jake was your first teacher in a way,
Jake
guitar
was my
teacher.
first teacher, and he told me, I was so mad because the first song he taught me was Purple Haze, and he was like, "This is too hard for you." I was like, "Boy, move over! Don't play with me. I'm doing this E7 sharp 9." So it was a challenge. I'm very competitive. I grew up with brothers, so when he told me I couldn't do it, I was like, "Oh, it's on and popping. I'm doing this."
So from then, did you ever have any formal lessons from there? Because everyone
No.
comes to it differently, right? And do you
Yeah.
learn by ear? Are you
Yeah. I learned by ear initially, and then I was obsessed with John Mayer, as every guitar player goes through their John Mayer phase. And Quincy Jones, I was a huge Quincy Jones fan, and I was kind of just like, I was still working in kind of like this desk job, where I'm, entering client information, all this stuff. And I'm like, I was on Wikipedia reading people's stories. Shout out to my old job. But I was trying to find like what are the commonalities between people that I admire. And I kept hearing about this Berklee College of Music. So I looked up the audition requirements, and it was like a long list of stuff that I did not know how to do. I was like, Purple Haze is not on this list. But so that's when I started to kind of, I don't like the word self-taught, because I 100% was inspired and influenced by, finding charts and going into these jazz blogs and making up different fake names, because I'm like, okay, I'd ask 20 questions under this name. Let me log into this name.
Oh no.
I don't want to annoy people. But just, soaking up information and trying to prepare for this audition. So eventually, I didn't tell anybody. I went to Boston by myself and I auditioned for Berklee. And the guy looked me right in my face. He said, "You can't read a lick of music, can you?" And I'm like, "No." He said, "You can play, but you got to learn, you got to learn." So just to be honest, I never really did learn. I wound up dropping out after 4 semesters.
Right.
I was so overwhelmed with just what I loved about it was to play. At Berklee, I had, general music education, and you have, your teachers and stuff like that. But most of my learning really came from YouTube and the jazz blogs. And that's what made me want to start contributing to that community, because I grew up in the neo soul era, India.Arie, Music Soul Child, Jagged Edge, like Cisco, you know what I'm saying? Lauryn Hill, and so I just noticed, I was like, man, these white boys, they can play, but they ain't playing the music I want to hear. They ain't playing the stuff I want to play. Like, the Beatles cool, but I want to learn Frankie Beverly, and I want to learn the Temptations, and I want to learn, Luther Vandross, and just the music that I love. I'm a Motown baby, so I definitely took the foundational elements of rock and all these different things, and that helped me to transition to, well, how would I apply this to R&B soul music? And yeah, I just kind of I saw a wide open lane that no one was really in, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do this.
No, I've been on YouTube, and when you've grown up on R&B, you're kind of looking and searching like how to play Jodeci, how to play Jodeci and SWV. So what did you take to YouTube, upload your own YouTube guitar tutorials, given you'd had no formal training yourself as well?
Yeah.
And what did you think you'd get from it? Did you have a vision in mind, or?
I think that I wanted to see Black people teaching Black music, and I thought, well, I'll do it. And then also I think I felt qualified. I didn't feel qualified to talk about the Beatles. I didn't feel qualified to talk about the Rolling Stones. I didn't grow up listening to that. And it's almost like you can't go to the guitar world without running into that. But I was like, but that's not the music that I love, you know? So I think I did it because number one, I didn't see a lot of other people doing it, and I felt qualified. I felt like if nothing else, I know this music. I know what it's supposed to sound like. And I'm not the best guitarist in the world yet. You know, I was pretty new. But I just felt like this is the music that I know and the music that I love. And so I didn't want to get on there talking about something I didn't know. And I felt
Yeah.
really intimidated by this community, to be honest. Every time you just, you know, the people, I call them the internet
Oh yeah.
trolls, you know, they're like, that ain't the chord, that ain't the, and I'm like, these white
Oh
boys
yeah.
ain't finna tell me about NDRE. I know NDRE's music. So I think I felt qualified. I felt like it was very authentic to me. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just using those same chords. Okay. So that's just something to practice with. It's fun to
Are you
learn
surprised
chords, but it's even funner to
by
learn them in the context
how
of a song,
successful
so
you've
that you
been
can
on these
understand
platforms? I
how
mean,
they work
the
and how they
following that you've
interact
amassed is
and things like
huge.
that. Yeah. I'm absolutely shocked, to be honest with you. Um, I'm very grateful that I didn't have a sense of audience in mind. My audience was myself. What do I love? And that's what I did.
Mm,
And so I think that's what shocked me about it, that I created something that I loved and a lot of other people loved it too. And I just followed my heart. I followed what I knew. I followed what felt right to me. And I didn't let the market define me. I defined the market. I created a new lane for the market. And
yeah,
I wish I could tell you it was a strategic thing. It honestly wasn't. I just was
it's
doing what I
organic.
loved. It was organic.
Yeah,
And I spent so much time just me and my guitar. And when something was fun for me, I wanted to share that. You know, I
yeah,
remember Mariah Carey and Miguel had came. Remember that
mm,
song Beautiful? They came out with a song. Oh my
yeah.
God, I love this song. Or anytime I would hear guitar, I'm like, I can't wait to teach that. Because I felt like it did something for me. So I felt like maybe other people, you know, would enjoy it.
Just about your learning journey then, because I'm always curious with people who are like guitarists. Did you literally, for want of a better word, sit down and, I mean, it sounds boring, but did you do scales and, the
Oh
actual,
my gosh.
did you do all of that,
Honey, yes. Yes. I sat in a room at the time I was living in Bloomington, Illinois. Oh my gosh. And I was working at the YWCA. And I remember literally, I always had my guitar, always. So I was always working on concepts at a time. Like, okay, I'm working on the major scale. Now I'm working on the minor pentatonic scale. Now I'm working on major seven chords. Now I'm working on minor seven chords. And I would isolate the concepts and then go to the music and say, well, how do I find these concepts in the music? You know, and so I absolutely did study. I wasn't a person that just learned songs.
right?
I learned concepts, music theory. I remember studying the fretboard. There was a time where I wrote the fretboard on my arm, and I would be like,
Wow.
you know, at work in a meeting, like F sharp G G, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like really for real, like studying the craft, studying the
Yeah.
instrument, and really understanding how does this work, and then from there trying to use it to express, trying to use it to talk. How do I use this to say something? How do I use the melodic minor scale to emote, you know, to give off an emotion? And it was always like that for me. But yeah, I used to practice like 12, 16 hours a day. Sometimes
Yeah.
my joke, my job, one time I would like literally bring my guitar with me, and I would be like practicing in the bathroom. And one time my boss knocked on the door. She said, look, we know you're in there playing. At least play for us. So they were like totally supportive. And I think it was just kind of like, she's going to do it, you know?
So at what point did you play in front of people or feel comfortable playing in front of people? I mean, was there a moment before the Fifth Harmony call? Because you've said somewhere that you went from a bedroom guitarist to Fifth Harmony, which is
Yeah.
scary, right?
Yeah, it was, but again, I think I didn't understand fandoms and all of that stuff. I didn't had no idea that like just how many people were watching, to be honest. I think before that, I played in church and I was always very insecure because I never felt like I was doing a good job, to be honest. It's like I just always felt like I was never doing a good job, and we would play like Ty Tribbett and Marvin Sapp and
Yeah.
the Clark sisters and stuff like that. And that's a really, challenging
Mm,
kind of music to play with guitar. Um and from there, just posting YouTube videos. And when I got the call to do Fifth Harmony, to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was qualified. I was like, well, okay. like,
did you audition? Was it an audition?
No, I did not
No.
audition. They watched,
Wow.
I guess they watched my videos, or I don't know how they found me, but no, I did not audition. But I had so many videos online
Yeah.
and I started to do covers. I wasn't just teaching, I was doing covers of songs that I love, and I would get all dressed up.
Mhm. How did you prepare for that stage with Fifth Harmony then? When you got that call, taking you back to that day, and they say, we want you to come out and play for the girls, with the girls.
Yeah.
Did you think, oh my gosh, I need to learn their songs? And, what am I doing? And, how did you prepare for that? Did you
Well,
hunker
yeah.
down?
Yeah. I actually, it's funny you asked that. I actually went online and I learned every single one of their songs in every key. That's what I did. 12 keys. So yeah, and I was just like, I don't know which songs we're gonna do. And then the funny part is when we got there, it was all new arrangements. So
Mm,
we got Rob Lewis was the MD, and he sent us basically, I don't know if it was like a Dropbox or something of all the songs, and it wasn't like the record. It was kind of like these live arrangements, and I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, these parts are so cool. So you don't just, when you're on these big tours, you don't just like do your own thing. It's like
yeah.
you get an audio of like, do this. So, and it's like every single section is a different part. And sometimes you're laying out and sometimes you're, playing lead. Sometimes I was on acoustic. And so I think I was just like, oh man, my first thought was like, I don't know how I'm going to make all these sounds because I didn't have a lot of gear. And then I thought when I got there, they brought me into this room and they're like, pick a guitar. And it was just like all these different guitars and amps. And I was just like, okay, wow, this is pretty cool. But
Okay.
we didn't have a lot of time. Like I remember, anytime you're on like a tour, there's this place in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, where they rehearse. Like Beyonce's teams rehearse there. Like any like it's like basically like this big empty warehouse that they turn into exactly how the stage will look out, so that it feels exactly like the stage will feel. And they build the same stage every night, so you're standing at the same spot. The stairs are right there. The fire's gonna come up there. It's like so
Yeah.
that you're familiar. So I remember going in there and walking into that room and being like, oh my gosh. And there were like dozens of people. This guy was hanging the lights and this guy was doing the smoke. And, you know, I walk into this room, picked out the guitars, and he said, all right, you got about an hour to get ready. So I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm trying to learn these songs, all these different arrangements, because we just got the songs like the night before.
Wow.
So I'm working on the songs, and he goes, all right, the girls are here. They want to hear you play. So I'm like, okay. So we go out, me and the band. We had never really played together at all. They were out in a different room learning their music. I was learning my
Yeah.
music, and all five girls from Fifth Harmony and all of their entire families, pretty much like their moms, their dads,
Wow.
they come out and they turn off the lights, and so the stage is like lit like it'll be, and they're just like, all right, let's go. So I was just like, oh boy. And I just, again, I think coming from playing from my family, my grandma being like, all right, everybody sit down, we're gonna listen to her play. I can't explain it. It's a switch that goes on. And I don't know where it comes from, but there's something that happens when it's showtime. And honey, when I tell you something goes through me, and it's just like, let's go. And it's like everything that I am meets me right there.
So I know that you played from with Fifth Harmony. You went to play with Camila Cabello as well, and
Hmm.
you kind of developed this friendship, didn't you? And
Yeah.
you like were guitar buddies, and you sat in the park jamming together, which is amazing memories as well.
Oh my gosh. Yes, yeah. It's funny because she just texted me the other day and she's like, dude, I'm in London and there's this huge poster of you in Yamaha store. There's this like poster of me like with a guitar, and we they were very young when, like, I think she was like 19 when I first met her, and she was obsessed with the guitar. She, I always had my guitar, she always had her guitar. And so her and her little sister Sophie, they would come to my room, and after the shows and stuff, and we would practice, or in the back of the bus, or we would stop at a rest stop, and we had 10 minutes. It's like, okay, let's get our guitars. So it was just so exciting, because I realized, like, man, she has this amazing platform and this amazing audience, and if I can equip her to be confident and to even learn something she didn't know, like, I just always love to add value. What's up, everybody? I am here to teach The Truth by India Ari. I'm a huge India Ari fan, for anybody that knows me.
I know India Ari has been a big influence on you, and you then got to play with her at the Black Girls Rock, which is like a full circle moment, which I thought was amazing. What was that like, performing with India Ari?
I think, and Erykah Badu. Erykah Badu came out with the biggest hat I've ever seen, and I was like, oh my God. I think that was probably like my most exciting career moment, because I literally grew up listening to these people. So, when India Ari says, sometimes I shave my legs and sometimes I don't,
Yeah.
It's like she was talking to me. She was talking like I was one of the people that I felt she was representing. And so to be there and get to play with her was just amazing. I just couldn't believe it, to be honest. And like Niecy Nash was hosting, and William McDowell came out, with Common and Erykah Badu, and did something. So it was just super cool. It was just like so much beautiful, amazing, positive energy, and to be playing like with Black people just felt so good, because I loved all the people I've worked with. Amazing, but this felt really special because it felt like, these people are at the front, and then all of us. I mean, Divinity Rocks was on bass, and
I saw
Cora on drums, who played for Prince, and just like all these amazing musicians that I looked up to for so long, and I was like sitting in the band with them. So it was just such a full circle moment, and something I'll never ever forget.
He touches my soul. Defining moments, where you felt that you leveled up as a guitar player. What was it that pushed you to the next level, do you think?
I think having to rise to the occasion. I set goals for myself from my bedroom, but it's like, we need you to do this tomorrow. I'll never forget when I was playing with Lizzo. I did a radio tour with her, and she's just so cool. But I'm like, I'm so prepared. I got the songs. I'm on the airplane, and I get a text, and they're like, she don't want to do any of those songs. She want to do these songs. So I'm like, okay. So they were like, do you know them? Well, I said yes, but I didn't know any of the songs. I was like, yeah, I know them. So I literally, and this is where my training came in, I literally on the plane had to relearn all the new songs by ear. I didn't even have a time to rehearse or anything. I showed up, went straight to the venue, went on stage and played with her. So I think being in these kind of like high pressure situations, and I could have said, no, I don't know them, but I'm like, I always say yes, I can do that. Give me a minute. Let me step in the bathroom and put on my headphones and listen to it, or, so I think instead of running from these situations, I ran to them, and I was like, you know what? I'd rather fail trying my best than back out of it because I'm scared that I may not be able to do it. And I've never not risen to the occasion. Every time that I push myself, I grow more.
Is there anything that you know now that you wish you'd known before you started playing at this level, I guess, with these stars who are at the top of their game and pushing you? What would you do differently?
I think I would... that's a great question. I was so focused on the craft and just making sure, that the craft was, okay, I got to learn these songs, and I got to learn them at every key. And what if they asked me to do a solo? What if, all these things. But I think I wish I knew how much the next generation was watching me. I didn't understand that.
Really?
And I think now I do understand that. So it's almost like I want to leave value. I want to inspire other people. Yes, know the craft and know the music, but when you know someone's watching you and looking up to you, I think it makes you just move different, and it makes you
Yeah.
have a different level of accountability
Yeah.
to share things, because it's not just about you. It's not just about the gig, but it's about, what are you leaving? What kind of imprint am I leaving in the world? And I don't think I understood that at all. I think I just thought, they're I'm playing for these people, and that's my job, and I did it very well. But I think now, I think about just the message that I'm sending to women, to black people. I feel like I represent more than just me, and I don't think I understood that then. So it makes me put out different type of content. It makes me carry myself differently. It makes me think bigger. And everything that I do, I'm like, this is going to be here when I'm not here. What do I want it to look like? What do I want it to represent for me? You know what I mean? Let's start from the beginning. Show me what you got. Show me what you got.
She is absolutely kicking my butt, and that is for real.
Before Juno, I was a mediocre guitar player, admittedly.
And I encourage anybody who's a beginner to intermediate to take one of her classes. She is awesome.
So Juno's Guitar Bootcamp is basically where you're kind of teaching the next generation and bringing them through, right? And what is it that you try to leave with them? Because I know there's always a bigger message with you. It's not just the play these chords, you know, it's more than that.
Yeah, I think what I try and leave with people is that you get out of it what you put into it. And that's with everything. I think we have all these ideas of what we want to do. And it's like, well, what seeds are you planting to lead you to that? I think community is really, really important. As a musician, it can be a little bit competitive, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I want to be the fastest player. I want to be this, that. And it's like, community is really important. With my, lessons, I do group lessons, I do one-on-one lessons, I do video lessons, I do all these different lessons, but we're not just playing guitar, we're building character. You're keeping a promise to yourself. If you said you were going to practice an hour today and you don't, no one else may know that, but you did a disservice to yourself. So really just implementing concepts like integrity and being accountable to what you said you were going to do, showing up and giving your best, even when you don't feel like it. These are life lessons.
Yeah.
And I always tell my students, we're not just playing guitar. We're not just playing guitar. It's bigger than that. When my grandfather passed away, I was in hospice with him, and I got an opportunity to play. It was just me, him, his oxygen tanks and all this stuff. And then in my little guitar, and it was a little baby Taylor. It wasn't this like $10,000 expensive guitar, and there were no lights or smoke or anything, cameras. It was just me and him. And I get emotional. It really challenged me to say, what do you play for someone that's dying? You're not trying to impress them. You're trying to help them transition. You're trying to help them feel comfortable. You're trying to bring back memories for them. And it was a very selfless experience of like, wow, this is bigger than just the guitar. This is an opportunity to pass on something that can literally shift the entire room, the entire situation for someone. And it was such an honor to play for my grandfather. That was the best gig I've ever had. Because he loved John Wayne, and he loved soul music, and he just loved to hear me play. And so it wasn't about doing the impressive thing, but it was about doing the thing that was most healing, doing the thing. If he's asleep, what can I play that can help him stay asleep? Or, you know what I mean? Thinking about it like that was just so powerful. So yeah,
I know one of the things you always say is music heals. It's one of your hashtags, really, is music heals. And that's what I love as well, because music really, when you strip away the ego, it is something that can really pierce through and touch anyone who, of all different languages, anywhere in the world. But it can heal the person playing it. It can heal the person hearing it. And so I love that. That's always at the forefront of what you're doing as well, is don't forget that music heals.
Yeah.
And
we won't be here. We're not going to always be here. You know, I listen to Prince. I listen to Beethoven, and it's like, wow, we're listening to sounds that they made, and they're not here. Like that. Yeah. That's amazing to me, you know? So I think about all of that, of the sounds that I'm creating right now, the videos that I'm creating. One day I won't be here. And in 20, you know, in 100 years, people can still benefit and learn and grow from the things that I'm creating now, or be healed or be inspired. And to me, that's such a huge, huge honor. That's bigger than me. And I want to get out of the way so that something else can happen. And you're not always in control of that, right? Sometimes you have this one thing in mind, but really something else happens.
Exactly.
And that's exciting. That's life.
I've been trying to forgive, but you're carrying the world, put it on me. Nowhere left to go, you can call me. I want you to be alone. Anywhere we are is home. I want you to be alone. Anywhere we are is home.
Now, Juno, you're not just an educator. You know, Juno the Artist. You are an artist in your own right.
Yes.
You know, and I know that's really important to you. So what does being an artist mean to you? You know, how do you want to show up in the world as an artist?
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, I've worked with so many different types of artists that allow me to kind of be a fly on the wall in the world of artists and to learn, what do I want? What don't I want? I mean, from Machine Gun Kelly to Keith Urban, these are like complete opposite sides of the spectrum. And just getting to observe, like, well, what is art and what are they doing? You know, I think I wanted to tell my story in a very authentic way and share. I have so many amazing experiences, and I think I have such a unique perspective of the world. And for me, putting that in the music allows other people to experience what I experienced, even though they weren't there, even though I may never talk to you or get to tell you the story. I'm like, this is what happened. You know, so I think being an artist for me is having a place where I can share the experiences of my life, things that move me, things that challenge me, things that maybe I'm thinking about or feeling. And it's not only an outlet for me, but I think about how when India Arie said those words, it changed me. And I want to do that for the next generation. I want to be honest instead of just creating this like image. And that's cool if that's, you know, what you do. But instead of creating this like image and this thing, it's like, no, my life is my art, literally. So when I experience something, I write a song about it, and my hope is that someone else who's been through that thing doesn't feel alone, or hears something that gives them an idea, or makes them want to call their grandma, or makes them, you know, just it's like life in a song.
What is your creative process like then? You know, do you start with a melody? Do you start with lyrics? Are you one of those walking around with, you know, recording into your phone?
Yeah, I'm a voice memo girl for sure. I experience, it's almost like a movie. Sometimes I feel like my life is a movie. Like I go places and I'm looking at something and I'm like, dude, that is a song. Like I went to you know, I was in LA and just, you know, staying in this Airbnb, and I just felt so lonely, you know, after tour, and, you know, you're on the biggest stages in the world, and everyone's cheering, and everyone's letting you in the front door, and you have all these things, and then you go back to just being by yourself, and like, you got to go pick up milk from the store. And like, you know what I'm saying? So these two different dynamics. And I was just like, man, I want to have a genuine experience. So I went to the park and met this, you know, there were all these families there with their kids. And I had my guitar, and I was the only Black person there. It was like all these white families with these kids. And I'm thinking like, they're going to think I'm trying to kidnap one of these kids or something. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was playing, and this one kid was just staring at me. And I was thinking like, I was there just because I was feeling lonely and I wanted to get out. And the name of the song is We Find Our People. And I realized that, wow, like this is a connection right now in this moment. And he came up to me, and I thought his parents were going to like stop him and like she was like, she was like ushering him into the experience with me and like helping him, so it was just such a beautiful moment. And literally as I'm walking away, I can't describe it, the feeling that I have, that is the song. And it starts to just, and I start, lyrics start to come to me, or usually I just sing into my phone, and then I went right back to my Airbnb, and then I put music to it, and then I open up my Logic, and then I recorded it. So a song has to happen to me. A song happens first, and then I kind of capture it. But I just believe that when we're open and we show up with no expectations, magic happens, literally.
This hand is gonna strum, and this hand is gonna do the chords. Bam, bam. There you go. Just keep doing that, man. Okay? The itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider.
You are so gifted when it comes to teaching, especially children, because I think there's a difference. I mean, there's a skill to teaching anyway, but to resonate with children and keeping their engagement is something complete. What do you think is the secret to that?
I still feel connected to the child in me. And I think as I've healed, it's allowed me to drop the mask, drop the act, drop the thing, and just be like, we are all here, human beings on this earth. And I think that kids, they don't have bills and they don't have the stresses that we have, and they're able to tap into this light that's just so pure and so innocent. And I feel that when I'm with a kid, when I'm working with kids, I'm able to meet them there, because that's what I'm trying to do as a human as well, is tap into this light, tap into this freedom, and I also think being selfless, kids will humble you, honey. Let me tell you something. They will humble you. And I love that. I love that they're not afraid to say like, that don't make sense. Or you playing something and they don't care. And it's like, I don't care. They want to hear their little Justin Bieber song or whatever it is. And being willing to look silly or get on the ground, get sit Indian style, or, you know what I'm saying? Again, it not being about you, but being about what lights them up and how can I dive deeper into that. If something makes them laugh or something, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just really getting down and on their level, which is just so pure and so innocent. And you have to be selfless in order to do that effectively, I believe. And being present, and listening and observing. And so, and asking them questions, because they will tell you. So it's such a beautiful experience, and I really enjoy working with kids. And I always think of just like endless potential. You never know a seed you plant in a kid's life. You never know who they're going to become or what they're going to do with that information. And that's exciting for me, that I know that I'm sharing something that's going to go somewhere I don't even know where it's going to go. Literally like planting a seed. So that's exciting.
Could be the teacher for the next prince. Do you know? You just never know.
You never know.
True, right?
You never know. Yeah. You never know.
Thank you so much for your time. Honestly, it's been a joy to talk to you and connect, because you speak from the heart, honestly, and it's really, I don't know, it's very inspiring, I think, to hear you speak about music and guitar. And I just wish you all the best with that. So
thank you so much. And I wanted to say good luck on your own journey, because just really quickly, if I can say, I discovered you playing a video, and I didn't even know you did podcasts. I just kind of reached out and was like, go. But it's so inspiring to see other people playing, and it doesn't matter where you are on your journey. Don't compare or anything. Just stay focused and keep doing what lights you up, because that is the thing that's going to move you forward. I'm from church, so I'm gonna just go into this if y'all don't want.